The cold that morning felt unnatural, as if the world itself had gone silent to watch something terrible unfold. Snow covered the ground in a thick, endless blanket, swallowing sound and erasing footprints, and beneath the wooden roof of a lonely cabin stood a police officer, hanging helplessly, his hands bound, his body slowly giving into the freezing air. He had been left there to die. Moments later, the silence broke as an ex-Navy SEAL and his loyal K-9 pushed through the snow toward the cabin, unaware that this discovery would change all of their lives forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of humanity, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel before we continue. The former Navy SEAL had bought the small cabin for one reason only: to disappear. After years of war, loss, and memories that refused to fade, he wanted distance from the noise of the world. The snow-covered forest offered peace, or at least the illusion of it. His only companion was his K-9 partner, the same dog that had stood beside him through danger, chaos, and missions where survival was never guaranteed. They had learned to live in silence together, understanding each other without words. But on that day, something felt wrong. The dog suddenly stopped, ears alert, body tense, before sprinting toward the cabin as if pulled by instinct. What they found beneath the wooden porch froze the air even more than the winter cold. A police officer hung there, rope cutting into his arms, his uniform soaked with snow, his head lowered, barely conscious. This was no accident. Someone had left him there, knowing the cold would finish the job. Training took over instantly. The soldier inside the ex-SEAL returned without hesitation. He cut the rope, lowered the officer carefully onto the frozen ground, and fought against time itself to keep him alive while the K-9 stayed close, watching, alert, as if guarding the fragile moment between life and death. The storm worsened, and calling for help was nearly impossible. Signal was weak, roads were buried, and every passing minute made survival less certain. The ex-SEAL knew how cold killed: slowly, quietly, without mercy. He carried the officer inside the cabin, lit a fire, wrapped him in blankets, and used every skill he had learned during years of survival training. Outside, the wind howled against the walls, but inside, a different battle was being fought. Not against enemies, but against time, exhaustion, and the thin line separating life from loss. Gradually, the officer's breathing steadied. Color returned faintly to his face, and life began to fight its way back into his body. Questions filled the ex-SEAL's mind: who had done this, and why? But none of that mattered in that moment. Saving a life was enough. The K-9 sat near the door, staring into the snow-covered forest, as if sensing that danger still lingered somewhere beyond the trees. The long night passed slowly, the fire crackling as three lives shared the same fragile warmth. For the ex-SEAL, something shifted that night. He had come to the cabin to escape his past, believing isolation would bring peace. But watching another man fight to survive reminded him of something he had forgotten: purpose does not disappear when war ends. Sometimes it simply changes. By morning, rescue teams finally arrived, and the officer was taken away alive, saved by minutes that could have easily been lost to the storm. After that day, the cabin no longer felt like a hiding place. It became a reminder that even broken people can become someone else's second chance. The ex-Navy SEAL realized that healing did not come from running away, but from choosing compassion when it mattered most. The snow eventually melted, the forest returned to life, but the memory of that night remained, proof that in the coldest moments, humanity can still survive. Before the story ends, leave a comment below and tell us where you're watching from, and whether you believe one act of kindness can change a life. And if this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach people who may need hope the most. Because sometimes, the greatest rescue is not just saving a life, but reminding someone that they were never meant to face the cold alone.